I traveled differently with my father's ashes before having my son, and even more so by myself before that. Me, bleary eyed and hungover from a long and enduring night of goodbyes, sitting in tiny a plane seat, with or without the plastic ear of the bag of ashes peeking out of the unzipped corner of my carrion, and nearly always with a valiant Merlin laying vigilantly beneath my feet. My constant companion, Merlin, is my prince consort. I believe his existence in my life was put in place long before we met, and was confirmed the first time I met his cornea consuming dog face. How could a creature be so devoid of any other distinguishing characteristics aside from the eyes? To live life so exposed, one really must be truly inherently possessed of, or have had to quickly cultivate a beautiful soul. His eyes only had two effects, fear and desire. As a creature more carnal than conscious in constitution only, Merlin's dog desires are easily satisfied with a liver treat and a belly rub, and even those he finds totally optional. Our souls are made of kindred star stuff. If we had a band, he would want to name it In Cahoots because he is cheesy and absurd like that. He has lived with me in the forgotten tarantula riddled towns and beaches along the Sea of Cortez and that of Ecuador, the sandy shores undulating upward before disappearing into the Amazon jungle. We have roamed the white cliffs of Dover, him rutting gleefully in fertile cows' droppings, and me with no attempt to tame my tangled afro in the swirl in this wild wind, before heading westward, wandering the Jurassic coast. Together we jogged parts of the long, jagged corridor of the Rocky Mountains and the high deserts of Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah, with all of their predatory promise of bears, mountain lions, coyotes, and the like. He has been knighted several times, and has been fortunate enough to visit the birth of his namesake, a tattered castle named Tintagel, lying in ruin on the Cornish coast, misty with myth and mysticism. I have seen him scared only a few times in my life. In escape from a predator after being let out to walk himself, and in my darkest hour, watching me cry and masturbate while wallowing in psychedelic grief. It took him days to come close to me again, circumnavigating me trepidatiously, as if I were someone or something unfamiliar and suspect. I knew then that I had ruined something sacred. Hurt people, I suppose. I now realize with stark clarity the importance of healing, really healing deep, righteous healing, so that it does not bleed onto other relationships in a violatingly angry orgasm. There is no antidote for that loss of innocence, and even now I make sure that he is well out of harm's way before I seek solace in self gratification. Merlin, much like myself, has known many men but no master. We began our life together in Canada. He was given to me by his previous owner, a young teenage girl that my ex boyfriend called Petite Fille, living in a small Quebecois town north of Montreal. My ex's mother rented rooms in her duplex to college students to pay for her travels to Asia, which she had done for 6 months of the year, every year, since my ex was 15. With a music studio behind the house and close proximity to both the mall and the local liquor store, it had become a kind of clubhouse for wayward teens and abject artists. Everyone collaborating and cooperating in the collective hope of quitting school, or their day jobs, and making it big and moving far from the poor rural town in the middle of nowhere and on the way to nowhere else. Merlin was a permanent fixture in the studio, at my ex boyfriend's band practices, concerts, and place of work. He beat the odds for even the hopeful humans, traveling with my dad and I to distant lands with only a few instances in which I had to leave him behind due to a country's entrance restrictions, or at the request of a foreign friend that would be hosting me. In these times, he stayed with this same ex boyfriend, to which I owe a debt of gratitude, the debt I hope to have paid when all is said and done. It was with him, his mother and Merlin, that I found the most belonging I have ever known. It transcended that of family and feels much more lasting and real. Possibly because we weren't family or tied toxically, but consciously making the decision daily to show up for each other, but also to allow each other to grow our own ways.